Don't cast your pearls before swine. Jesus actually spoke these words talking about don't give the gospel to people that are openly hostile and are clearly not interested in the gospel message. That's because the gospel message doesn't come by the power of the sword. So we don't force people to believe the gospel. That's just not how the gospel works. It's not the mechanism that God has chosen. And so I was reminded recently when a recording by Alistair Begg has come out where he encouraged people to attend gay or transgender weddings.
Does your grandson understand your belief in Jesus? Yes. Does your grandson understand that your belief in Jesus makes it such that you can't countenance in any affirming way the choices that he has made in life? Yes. I said, well, then, okay, as long as he knows that, then I suggest that you do go to the ceremony, and I suggest that you buy them a gift. Oh, she said, what? She was caught off guard. I said, well, here's the thing. You're not going to, your love for them may catch them off guard, but your absence will simply reinforce the fact that they said these people are what I always thought, judgmental, critical, unprepared to countenance anything. And it is a fine line, isn't it? It really is. And people need to work out their own salvation with fear and trembling. But I think we're going to take that risk. We're going to have to take that risk a lot more if we want to build bridges into the hearts and lives of those who don't understand Jesus and don't understand that he is a king.
And the logic that Alistair Begg uses is he says, if you're a Christian and a family member of yours that you're close with is having a gay or transgender wedding, you should go ahead and attend. And so long as they know you're not supportive of that lifestyle, it's okay. And he said, we don't want people to think that we are critical or judgmental. And we want to build bridges. This is the logic he uses. We don't want people to think we're critical or judgmental, and we want to build bridges. But the problem, I think, with that logic is the following. It assumes that the solution to a culture who has turned away from God, they just aren't interested in the gospel, is to cave on our position. Like we're supposed to change our position in order to cave to a culture that has rejected the truth. And that's just not the solution. It's not the solution to, if the swine in this analogy that Jesus raises in the Gospels, the people who reject the precious word of God, the gospel that can save them, if they trample upon that and want to turn and trample upon you, the solution is not to give them, scraps of meat, right? We don't change the gospel from the pearls of God's spoken word to address the culture and build bridges and make sure they don't feel like we're too judgy, right? What we want to do is protect and hem in the gospel. So we just don't offer it to people that trample on it, and we move on, right? And if your family member is in that lifestyle and they've made it clear they want nothing to do with the gospel, you need to move on, because let's remember something about family. Jesus says, my mother and my brothers are those who hear the word of God and obey. That is your family if you are a Christian, not your blood kindred ultimately. Although the Bible is very clear, you still have an obligation to them. Your ultimate kin is those who hear and obey. And so I would encourage you, if you are thinking through the question of, what to do with this culture that's rejected the gospel, move on. If there's a field you can see that's receiving the gospel, I have particular hope in this season of human history that it will be the Jews. But if that's not going to happen in my particular lifetime, if I don't get to see it with my eyes, then I'm a him in that gospel. I'm not going to tamper. I'm not going to change my convictions on truth. I'm not going to try and build bridges to people who don't want the truth. I'm moving on. That's what I would encourage all of you to do as well.